I am so excited about this Instant Pot turkey and gravy recipe. Cooking the turkey can be a huge source of stress during Thanksgiving. What time should I get up to put the turkey on? How long should I bake it? Is it going to be done? Well, the Instant Pot takes care of all of these worries. Find out how, coming up next on Gourmet Done Skinny. Let's get cooking. I'm Amy Lawrence. Welcome to Gourmet Done Skinny, where you can cook and eat like a foodie, master your weight, and live freely. And today we're talking turkey. Cooking a turkey in the Instant Pot, that is. It's super easy, it makes it moist and delicious, and the hardest part about the whole entire process is actually finding a 6 or 7 pound turkey or turkey breast. Let me show you how. So let's get started. First, we're going to brine the turkey. Now, when I say brine, people get all upset. Oh, that's a lot of work. Brining is really no big deal. All you do is take a half a cup of kosher salt, just like this. Pour it in the container. Make sure your container is big enough to fit your turkey. Then we're going to pour in some water. Now, some recipes will have you boil the water first. We're actually going to brine this turkey at least 5 hours up to overnight. I like to actually do it the night before, and then the next morning it doesn't matter when I make the turkey. And I also like to add a little bit of garlic, so I'm going to crush the garlic. I like to use this little garlic rocker. It works very well. All right. Now we're going to add the garlic to the water. Stir it around just a bit. I'm going to add my turkey. Now, this is a 6 pound turkey breast. Notice there's no legs, but it looks pretty much like a regular turkey. It doesn't look like chicken breast that you buy at the grocery store. It's a whole turkey breast. The bone is inside. So we're going to put the turkey breast in the water, and we're going to add a little bit more water. So you want to cover the turkey all the way with more water. I kind of stir it around just so the salt kind of gets mixed up. And you're going to let this sit for about 5 hours at least, or overnight. That's it. You won't believe the difference in brining, what a difference it makes. It makes the turkey juicy and tender and absolutely delicious. Next, we're going to make the gravy. I've pushed the saute button on the Instant Pot and I'm letting it heat up. I'm going to add just a little bit, like a teaspoon of oil. And I like to use my olive oil sprayer. That way you don't use so much oil. And I'm just going to spray a little bit in there. And we'll let that heat up. I've got my onions already chopped. This should be about hot. And we're going to throw the onions in there. The best thing about this gravy is you can do it right in the pot. So we're going to add all the vegetables, eventually add the turkey, cook the turkey. We'll remove the turkey after it's cooked, and then we'll strain off all these vegetables. So if you don't have them perfectly cut, don't worry about it. We just kind of want to rough cut them for the gravy. Now I'm going to add the garlic. Next, we'll add some celery. Add some carrots. I actually start with baby carrots. It's just easier. We eat baby carrots all the time anyway, and so I just use baby carrots for pretty much everything. You never have to peel them. You just cut them up and add them to whatever you want to use them in. I like to put in thyme, a little bit of sage, a little bit of rosemary. Whatever you like in your turkey gravy works great. So we'll add the herbs. We'll add 2 bay leaves. And we're going to cook this for a few minutes. Next, we're going to add the Parmesan chicken broth. You can find the recipe in the notes below. If you don't have time to make the Parmesan chicken broth, I make it up ahead of time. Like on a weekend, I'll make it and then I'll freeze it into 1-cup packages. But if you don't have the Parmesan chicken broth, don't stress, just use chicken broth, it'll be fine. But the Parmesan chicken broth does taste delicious. So I've thawed this Parmesan chicken broth in the microwave just a bit so it pours easily. We're going to add that to our gravy. And we'll add a little bit of white wine. I use Sauvignon Blanc, but whatever you want to use is great. Now we're going to add the rack that came with your Instant Pot. The reason, it wouldn't hurt the turkey to sit in the gravy mixture while it's cooking. However, it's so much easier to take the turkey out with the rack, so I recommend putting the rack in there. So I've taken out our turkey out of the refrigerator. It's all finished brining. We're just going to take it out, dump some of the water out, and we're just going to set it right in our Instant Pot. Now you want to kind of make sure it gets poked down in there really good so it'll cook well. So you may have to kind of press it down. Now we're going to add the lid. You want to make sure the seal is in the lid the right way, otherwise the pot won't come to steam. And we're going to put the lid on, and I'm going to set it on pressure cook. For this turkey, I'm going to do it about 30 minutes. It's about 6 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes per pound. It's always better to check it, to do the minimum amount and then check it and with a thermometer. Otherwise, it'll be overdone. But I think 30 minutes for a 6 to 7 pound turkey works pretty well. We'll check it at the end when it gets done. The timer went off, so we're gonna let it natural release for about 10 minutes, and then we'll be back. All right, it's been 10 minutes. Now we're gonna release the pressure. On the old Instant Pot, you wanna use a hot pad, but on the new one, you can just push the button, just stay out of the way of the steam. And we'll be back when it's done. Now this turkey won't be brown. If you want it brown, you can spray some oil on it and put it in the broiler for a couple minutes. If you're planning on not eating the skin anyway, if you're doing it for health reasons, then it doesn't matter and you don't have to worry about it. So this is what the turkey looks like. I'm going to take out my little thermometer and I'm going to check the temperature. And it needs to be at least 163, 162 because we're going to let it rest. And this one's 164, so it's totally perfect because we're going to let it rest for a few minutes. And it's a little tricky to get the rack out, but usually I only need one hot pad. And we're just going to put it right there. All right. Then we're going to pat it down. Just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the broiler so you can see what it looks like. I like my little oil sprayer, so I'm just going to spray a little bit of oil on the outside so it'll turn brown. And I'm going to sprinkle a little salt on the outside because if you're browning it, you're probably going to eat the skin, so I'll put a little bit of salt on there. You don't really need too much salt in the gravy. We'll taste and do that in a little bit. Now I'm going to add a little bit of pepper on the outside. And now we're going to put it in the oven and we're going to brown it up for just a few minutes. To make the gravy, we've already got all the ingredients in there, but we're going to strain off the vegetables because you don't need those. And I just put like a little colander over a bowl and we're just going to strain it off. So I'm going to pour the rest of this broth over a sieve, just like this. If you have a lot of company and they like a lot of gravy, then you can use all the broth if you want. You might need a little bit more cornstarch. I know my people like gravy, so I'm going to go ahead and use all the broth. But if you don't think you're going to need too much gravy, just put about 2 cups back into the Instant Pot. So we're going to turn our Instant Pot back on and we're going to put it on saute. And if you have the option to do high, do high. I always forget on the new models you have to push start. The old models you don't even have to worry about it, but I tend to forget the start button. So now we're going to thicken up our gravy a little bit. I'm going to put about, since this is about 4 cups of broth, I think I'm going to do about 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. If you're only using 2 cups, then you can do maybe 2, start with 2. And I'll just put a little extra in there. And you want to put it in a small cup first. Otherwise, if you just dump the cornstarch in, then what will happen is it'll be all clumpy and you don't want that. So we put the cornstarch in a little dish. And then I scoop out a little bit of the broth, just like this. And let me get a spoon. And I'm just going to mix this up, kind of like a little cornstarch slurry. A lot of people will use water, but why use water when you got all this great broth? So I just steal a little bit of the broth and put it in there. All right, then when it's all mixed well, then you can add it to your pot. And then we're just going to mix this around. We're going to let this cook until it gets thickened, and then we're going to pour it over our turkey. So I added a little butter. It gives it a little bit of a richness. And it's definitely starting to get thick. If you like it thicker, then add a little bit more cornstarch. At this point, I'm just going to turn the Instant Pot to warm, and we'll just wait for our turkey to get finished. All right, check this bird out. Isn't it beautiful? I can't wait to eat it. So now I'm going to cover it with foil for about 15 minutes, and then we'll slice it up and serve it with some gravy, and we'll have Thanksgiving. Let's dish this up, shall we? We've got our turkey already cut. I'm going to put a little bit of cranberry sauce on here. This is my homemade cranberry sauce with port. It's so delicious. You also make it in the Instant Pot. You can find the recipe on my channel. And I will add a little bit of gravy on here. And there we go. What an easy Thanksgiving. Thank you for watching today. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. For more of my Instant Pot recipes and other recipes, check out my YouTube channel.